The genie in Disney's Aladdin is one of the most popular and iconic characters out of their 90-year-old catalogue. And while I'd be lying if I said that as a child I didn't find his countless references to films and celebrities I had never heard of amusing, there was another character who made his debut in 1992 that not only made me a very keen viewer of Aladdin sequels, but is, in all honesty, my favourite character from anything ever. The loud, feathery, and full of frustration, Iago. The parrot is one of the few minor Disney characters to have an arc spread across 3 movies and a TV series in between.
Look at this! Look at this! I'm so ticked off that I'm molting!
In Aladdin, he is the henchman to the villain Jafar, and in the film sequel, Return of Jafar, he turns against his twisted boss and joins the protagonists, at first just to take advantage of their privileged lifestyle, but when given the choice of saving his new friends or former ally, he actually kills Jafar. Inadvertently.
An ugly specimen, but he may be worth a shekel or 2.
He isn't worth anything!
Would you care to rephrase that?
Iago's personality is that of a constant complainer, sarcastic, and quite devious, not only while helping a sorcerer try to take over the world, but also when he supposedly reforms, where he shifts his attention from power and revenge to a lust for riches. Said revenge is directed at the Sultan of Agrabah, whom Jafar works for as an advisor. Not because the Sultan is ruthless, but because, being a well-meaning big softy, he insists on feeding Iago crackers, which turns the psychopathic parrot red. Though why Iago doesn't just fly away from the Sultan's reach is a question that guy from Boston probably has an answer to. After many brash antagonists in a row, Jafar was a return to the more sinister Disney villains, and he could easily be described as a male Maleficent, complete with a bird. Though unlike that crow, Iago is one of the brashest henchmen of all time, while still being fairly smart and competent at his job, especially when compared with Jasper and Horace, LeFou, and even Sir Hiss, who, although was seemingly sophisticated, was quite the upper-class twit. Iago not only steals the genie's lamp, allowing Jafar's brief terror to unfold, but also gives Jafar his plan to seize power by marrying Jasmine. Mind you, it would have been smarter if he had advised the advisor to hypnotize the princess, as he had done with her father. Then again, that plot hole was sort of resolved in the sequel, where we see, even chained up against a wall, Jasmine is wise enough not to look into the glowing eyes of a serpent staff.
Jafar! Jafar! Get a grip! Good grip!
The species of parrot Iago belongs to is uncertain, especially as there are none with very apparent teeth, unless Bush and Blair blew them up. It is widely assumed he is a close match with a scarlet macaw, though that type of bird is a lot taller than Iago, a lot more colourful, and native to South America, not Agrabah stan.
Well, that's it. We're dead. Forget it. Just dig a grave for both of us. We're dead.
Since the series' other main animals, Abu and Raja, can't talk, at least not phonetically, and as his companion was a sorcerer, this has led to fan speculation that Iago, like Archimedes, was enchanted with the ability of human speech. Also, Jafar gave Iago all his emotions so to allow himself to remain focused on plotting to overthrow the Sultan. But more about that pile of overreaching bollocks later. All that is for sure about Iago's past, that is canon in the Aladdin series, is that Jafar bought the parrot at a street market.
There's no justice.
In the original template for Disney's Aladdin, Iago was intended to be a very snotty and, well, stereotypical posh British tit, while Jafar was going to be the volatile one. But after major script changes, thanks to the future co-writers of Shrek and the Pirates of the Caribbean saga, the roles were pretty much reversed, and that's when the producers made the most glorious decision of all. They gave the role to the one, the only, Gilbert Vito? Yes, apparently Iago was almost Phil, but luckily Danny wasn't available, and it took another 5 years before he would join the Disneyverse. Unless you count the couple of Touchstone films he appeared in.
The lamp is the key!
I must say, though, we do have a bit of a problem.
What are we gonna do? We got a big problem here, a big...
Yes.
As entertaining as the character's concept is, there's no question that he'd be nothing without the iconic voice which accompanies him. And that is fired from the mouth of Gilbert Gottfried.
To think we gotta keep kissing up to that chump and his chump daughter. You got a problem, Pinky?
Gilbert has been a stand-up comedian for practically his whole life, starting in his mid-teens, and after appearing in many critically despised TV shows and films, Aladdin was his big break, beginning his many roles in voiceover work. His trademark voice can be found in Thumbelina, The Fairly OddParents, Cyberchase, and the latest revival of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
A man comes home to his wife. He goes, honey, pack your bags. I just won the lottery. And she goes, what should I pack? He goes, I don't care, just pack and get the fuck out.
Despite appearing in many family films, Gilbert is known for making very crude, politically incorrect jokes, which have gotten him in a lot of trouble and acclaim in the past 25 years. He caused outrage by joking about masturbation while presenting at the Emmys award show.
Masturbation's a crime. I should be on death row.
At a roast of Hugh Hefner days after the September 11th attack, he almost ruined his career by joking,
I have to leave early tonight. I have to catch a flight to L.A. I couldn't get a direct flight. We had to make a stop at the Empire State Building.
but then saved his career by telling the infamous aristocrats joke.
You white motherfuckers!
He then caused controversy again by making several jokes via Twitter at the expense of the 2012 tsunami that struck Japan, which cost him his lucrative role as an insurance recommending duck.
3 fags are in a hot tub! All of a sudden a big blob of semen floats to the top! One fag turns to the other and says, alright, who farted?
Gilbert's style of saying dark, satirical, and often true observations have led him to make fun of Aladdin over the years, and on more than one occasion on The Howard Stern Show, he pointed out how the big-beaked, obnoxious, and money-hungry parrot is nothing more than a stereotypical Jew.
Watch out, Aladdin, it's a faggot!
But enough about this short, loud, bitter, but hilarious individual. Let's get back to Iago. As I mentioned, a fan theory is that Jafar enchanted Iago with all his negative emotions, so to allow him to be free from distraction, I guess. That holds no water for me for 2 reasons. 1, Jafar clearly still has pent-up rage, and shows signs of being a complete nutter. And 2, if you were going to turn someone into a bad-tempered wreck, why would you choose someone who spends most of their time perched on your shoulder?
Oh, this is attractive.
Iago was designed by cartoonist Will Finn, who the previous year had helped bring Cogsworth to life, a character Iago's original character concept had been very close to. 3 other animators worked on the character during different scenes, and it should be noted that these weren't the same artists who were animating Jafar. To conclude the decisions that went into creating the character of Iago, the production team realised that if a superpowered Robin Williams was going to take over the middle of the movie, then there needed to be something to supply a sort of crazy haze throughout the film's first half. And thus Gilbert Gottfried as an angry parrot was born.
This is going to hurt.
He and Jafar first appear cloaked in darkness, awaiting the man who has fetched a thing they need to access a thing.
Huh? Cave of Wonders?
Part of the character's gimmick in the first film only is that whenever he and Jafar aren't alone, he acts and talks like a real parrot. Though if a toy scarab can come to life and pierce itself into the desert, creating a gigantic talking tiger's head out of sand, I should think excusing Iago as an exceedingly well-trained parrot would be understood as not that unusual.
Jeez, where'd you dig this bozo up?
The villains need someone to go down to the Cave of Wonders for some reason, though after meeting with the Sultan and hypnotizing his mystic blue diamond off him, Jafar reminds his feathery fireball that the throne shall soon be his. You could have had it now, Jafar. Give me the diamond. No, wait, on second thoughts, you will promote me to Sultan, and then abdicate.
Sure, mate.
Iago supplies the power to Jafar's lightning conductor hourglass thing, and then a few scenes later supplies the hump to his disguise.
Jafar, can you hurry up? I'm dying in here.
A very convincing disguise, and kind of a pointless one, since Aladdin has never met Jafar, and if they'd gotten caught escaping, the guards would have likely just killed the old creep, since it doesn't resemble their commanding officer in the slightest. With the genie introduced, Iago pretty much takes a back seat, especially as most of the few scenes he is in for the middle portion of the plot, he and Jafar have company, forcing him to keep stum. He does, however, gleefully suggest Jafar murder the royal family, which gave Gilbert Gottfried a chance to show off just how loud he can go.
Yeah! Curse!
When the protagonists learn that the blatantly evil man is a very naughty boy, unless you've seen his point of view in Twisted, which doesn't feature Iago as his sidekick, so that awesome-tacular fan-made musical can go fuck itself, Jafar and Iago escape to his room in the palace. Because that's totally not the first place the guards would look.
Bring the guns, the weapons, the knives, and how about this picture? I don't know, I think I'm making a weird face in it.
I think after Robin Williams' ad-libbing shenanigans, Aladdin's producers just said, "Fuck it!" Jafar tells Iago to go steal Aladdin's lamp, and the bird accomplishes this mission by perfectly mimicking Princess Jasmine's voice.
Where are you?
Out in the menagerie, hurry!
And disguising himself as a flamingo. Iago's talent for impressions would be used a couple of times in the Aladdin TV series.
It is an extremely dangerous undertaking.
I'm assuming the gimmick was thrown in because he is a parrot after all, plus the idea of anyone with a voice like his suddenly drastically changing pitch is hilarious. Speaking of which, Gilbert Gottfried is actually a pretty decent impressionist.
I can't go bowling with you, Ralph.
Do you know how important this night is, Norton? I mean, do you know how important this night is?
With Jafar's new superpowers, Iago not only gets some rather sadistic revenge on the Sultan, but also gets to wear a little white beanbag on his head.
You vile betrayer!
That Sultan, vile betrayer to you!
Iago doesn't supply much help to his boss during the final battle, but in his defense he was knocked unconscious. Twice. And their rule of terror is brought to an abrupt end when Jafar has himself turned into a genie, and grabs a fleeing Iago with him as they are sucked into the lamp. And it only takes 10 seconds for the all-powerful Satan to realise that trapping himself in something as spacious as a pencil sharpener with an angry Gilbert Gottfried probably wasn't the wisest thing to do.
Oh, shut up, you moron!
And that's the end of that. But not for long!
2 years after the release of Aladdin, Disney made its first direct-to-video sequel, which was also a precursor for the Aladdin TV series that followed. In fact, the film was made by the same makers of the TV series, hence why the film seems to split into 4 20-minute sections, with the animation gradually getting more low-budget than a revolutionary horror film.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
I've got sand in places I didn't even know I had.
Now a genie, Jafar cannot leave his lamp until someone rubs it, but Iago refuses to do so, realizing that his association with Jafar has caused him nothing but earache. Minus the ears.
That's it! I've had it! I hate to be dramatic, but it's time for me to fly the coop. I was a fool to let you run the show. I'm cutting you loose, pal! Look out below! I'm looking out for me!
You know what? A Whole New World can bugger off. This is Disney's best song ever. Okay, slightly overdid the praise there, but I do really like this song.
I turn the other cheek, but this busted beak is the only thanks that I get.
Call me crazy, but I'd much rather listen to Gilbert Gottfried sing in tune than Russell Crowe warbling in supposedly one of the greatest musicals ever. With the exception of Iago's other song in this film, because it was rudely interrupted by Jasmine. Upstager, didn't she have enough songs to sing in the first movie? Oh wait, she only had one song, well, half of one. Whatever. Return of Jafar is really more Iago's story than Aladdin's, though they do share roughly the same amount of screen time. And neither could be upstaged by the genie, now voiced by Dan Castellaneta, because we all know it's the voice actor who makes the character, not the character himself. Wait, by saying that sarcastically, I just contradicted what I said earlier. Whoopsie daisy! Anyway, returning to Agrabah, Iago tries to convince Aladdin that he never really was on Jafar's side, but they are interrupted by Abyss Maul, a bumbling leader of a gang of thieves, voiced by Jason Alexander, who wants to hurt the young man for stealing their stolen stuff.
How dare after me!
Iago is caught in the middle of the fight, and inadvertently ends up saving Aladdin's life, which he of course claims to have been intentional. So Aladdin decides the least he could do is lock the parrot in a cage and ask the Sultan for forgiveness on his behalf. A chunk of Iago-less movie passes until Abu, who doesn't see the subtle nuances of Gilbert Gottfried's performance, sets Jasmine's tiger Raja on him. Al defies and angers both the Sultan and his girlfriend by insisting they don't have parrot for dinner.
That kid saved my life. Nobody's ever looked out for me before. Now it's like I owe him. Nah!
Under guidance from Homer Simpson, Iago helps Jasmine to forgive her thieving toy boy, and everything looks hunky-dory. Until...
Jafar!
Freed from the lamp by Abyss Maul, Jafar has come for revenge, but needs Iago to lead Al and the Sultan away from the palace, so Senior Psychopath can ambush them. Iago doesn't really want to do it, but he also doesn't really want to be tortured for betraying his former ally.
You traitor!
Traitor is such a strong word!
Since genies can't directly murder people, Jafar has Aladdin framed for the disappearance of the Sultan, so that he can be sentenced to death, and also chains up Al's pals in the dungeon.
You have done well.
Please, don't mention it.
Like with the first film, Iago is in the back seat again during the middle part of the plot, though for a final attempt at redemption, decides that the only way the good guys will win this time is if he saves the day.
I'm trying to free the chump genie so he can save your chump boyfriend!
Oh, and everybody's safe and sound.
Standing atop the palace's giant circular roof, they were safer in the dungeon.
Now we should be fleeing for our lives if you don't mind!
While the heroes plan a plan, Iago is all like,
Fuck this shit, Professor!
and buggers off. But buggers back again later, just as it seems all is lost. See what happens when your genie isn't voiced by Robin Williams?
Well, he's dead.
Fortunately, Jafar is so busy gloating he fails to realise leaving your life source around a pit of lava was another stupid move. Then again, they are in the Middle East, so maybe that's just piping hot oil. Agrabah and the protagonists are saved once again. Iago soon recovers from his electric shock treatment, meaning all's welly that ends willy.
I can't just stay in the palace. There's too much to do. Too much to see.
I'm going to see the world too.
Why do I keep getting hooked up with these warped people?
Promoting the TV series with a TV-made movie, eh? Not interested. Unless Gilbert Gottfried's going to reprise his role.
That's good, right?
Aladdin the series began the same year Return of Jafar was released, and lasted for 86 episodes spread across 2 years. The scenarios revolve around the adventures of the main and supporting characters from the previous films, minus Jafar, encountering many magical, mechanical, and mythical beings. Despite being engaged to the princess, the title character still wears his same ragged clothing and sleeps in the same dilapidated roof, which makes almost as much sense as the genie still wearing his gold wrist bracelets, which he was released from when Al freed him.
Oh, I get it! It's make the bird doubt his sanity day!
The importance of Iago's role as the persistent pessimist varies like the quality of animation from episode to episode.
Shouldn't we just celebrate by running away?
Of the 86, I'd say there is at least 14 episodes where he was practically the central character. Here are some examples. In Foul Weather, the gang have Iago distract Thunderer, the ruler of the world's weather, while they steal her rain cloud to help with the drought in Agrabah. They must then deal with the wrath of the large peacock-esque bird, who is undoubtedly furious, especially with Iago.
Does she seem a smidge perturbed to you?
In Scare Necessities, a sickeningly cute koala-esque creature grants the wish of whoever scares it, which Iago is desperate to exploit.
What? You think I'm funny? Do I amuse you?
In Sand Switch, regular villain Sadira uses her powers to change places with Jasmine. But the only one her spell hasn't affected are the animals, Abu, Iago and Raja, who are the only ones who can save the day.
I think I speak for us all when I say, ah!
In Reign of Terror, Thunderer allows Iago to look after her weather-controlling amulet so she can have a holiday. But Malcho, a giant snake with wings and a luscious head of hair, steals the thing, because he's evil.
Thundra, this is Iago you're talking about. When he said he was reliable, he meant reliable in a deceitful, conniving kind of way.
In The Day the Bird Stood Still, Iago gradually starts to turn to stone after he uses tampered bath oils meant for the Sultan, supplied by crooked Abyss Mol. Abyss Mol. Abysmal. Abysmal? He's an abysmal bad guy. Oh, I get it now. Ha! Iago bargains with Mol and his much shrewder henchman. They'll hand over the antidote if he hands over the genie.
I didn't betray you! I only almost did!
In Poor Iago, the parrot goes insane after a pleasure overload when he finally breaks into the Sultan's treasury. The haze of madness makes him want to spread riches to the poor rather than hoard them for himself. But much like the original actor who played the Tin Man, Iago almost died from inhaling all that gold powder. Oh, the 2nd century. Such a primitive time for health and safety.
Try going for 3 weeks without sleep and see how you feel. It's enough to drive one to the very brink of Scoodly Woodly Land! So anyway...
In Power to the Parrot, Genie gives Iago his powers, after he tires of hearing him squawk that he'd make a better genie.
Why didn't I ever think of that?
Because I have one thing that you don't. Afraid!
In my favourite episode of the Aladdin TV series, The Sands of Fate, the group try to save a pack of warriors who are trapped in a time loop, each attempt resulting in one of our heroes accidentally joining the loop, until Iago is the only one left to save the day.
Your last chance, Iago! Keep that chest from opening or we're all goners!
Nah.
In Mission Impossible, Iago and Genie enter the lair of the silkworm, as they have been tricked by another recurring villain claiming that silk is the only antidote to the poison he slipped Aladdin.
I am not, under any circumstances, going in.
The gold's in there.
Come on, we made it past the obstacles.
In The Return of Malcho, Malcho returns, for revenge on Iago. He, Aladdin, and Jim Cummings must work together to save their town.
Hello, Iago. Long time no see.
Iago? I never heard of him. My name's Phil.
In Hero with 1,000 Feathers, the recurring mysterious Fezar tells Iago that he is the only one who can defeat an evil monster who shall soon come to Agrabah. Cowardly Iago passes the task on to Genie, and flees the conquered city until his conscience convinces him to return.
You instigated one of the bloodiest wars in the history of Mesopotamia, just so you could corner the falafel market! Hey, no one's perfect.
And if I haven't won you over with all those storylines, I do recommend this series. It's fun and exciting, boosted along with a great, though constantly reoccurring score, and every episode has at least one "the fuck were the animators thinking" moment.
You volunteered to do this?
Aladdin and the King of Thieves went into production just after Return of Jafar was completed, and was released in 1996. It was another direct-to-video sequel, and out of the 6 I've ever watched, I would say that this is the best, winning in categories of animation quality, song goodness, and remaining faithful to the original theatrical production, unlike, say, The Fox and the Hound 2. Inspired by the story Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, which is where the famous magical command Open Sesame comes from, Aladdin discovers that not only is his father still alive, but he is John Rhys Davies, and also the leader of a gang of thieves, who interrupts his wedding to Princess Jasmine, and even has a showdown with our favourite parrot.
Meet your match, Zorro!
You have a lot of spirit.
Ow!
And a lot of mouth.
This is what the King of Thieves wanted.
Why go for this thing?
It is Iago who accidentally activates the scepter containing a hologram that can answer anyone's one question.
Where is the ultimate treasure?
You have already asked your one question.
Oh, that wasn't a question. That was thinking out loud. Very loud.
Robin Williams is back. Whoop-de-doo. The Oracle was amongst the wedding gifts, and 2 questions remain unanswered. How did the 40 Thieves know the Oracle had been brought to the palace? And more importantly, just who sent it anyway? As the orphaned Al has been pondering whatever happened to his pappy, he chooses that as his question, and Iago accompanies him and Abu, and Carpet, a character I've ignored until now, to find him at the thieves' hideout. And the reason they didn't take Genie instead? Because he could have helped them out of situations like this.
They must all die!
Well, it's been nice knowing him.
And that would have shortened the film by many minutes. After Aladdin passes the initiation, Iago seems to become quite attached to the young man's father Cassim, by literally perching on his shoulder. The reason being that he informs the protagonists about his so far unsuccessful quest to find the Hand of Minos, an item that can turn anything it touches into solid gold.
I'm rich! I'm wealthy! Yahoo!
Since Jews love gold, Iago convinces Al's dad to come back to the palace, so he can use the Oracle as a sat-nav. The plan works flawlessly. Except they are immediately caught by Jim Cummings, and the Sultan sentences them to life in prison.
Nice touch.
Aladdin helps Cassim and Iago to escape, because he's an angsty badass like that. But since Cassim stole the Oracle off-screen, Iago is torn between going on a treasure hunt or being chewed up by rats in the jail cell.
Go with him, Iago.
You mean it?
Go.
Good luck, kid.
But the 40 thieves have turned on Kasim and force him to take them to where the Hand of Minos is located, which he was going to do anyway, against Iago's preference. Thanks to parrot power, the bird gets back to the palace and warns them that Aladdin's dad's life is in danger.
Time to rock and roll, dude!
After the battle for the Hand of Minos, which Iago has no involvement with, he decides to join Kasim on adventures of uncertain danger and likely living conditions resembling squalor. Kinda goes against Iago's character for him wanting to do that, but I guess pals before privileges, or whatever.
You're a good guy, Kasim, but not too good.
And so Iago's story arc concludes with he and Aladdin's father disappearing across the same desert where he first made his debut.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, right?
The King of Thieves may have brought an end to Aladdin as a series, but its characters have appeared in Disney-related media ever since. In the early noughties part sitcom part sketch show House of Mouse, Iago was featured in several, likely due to his voice actor being one of the few to still be alive and willing to appear.
Gee, I hope they're not lost. We are so lost!
Calm down, Iago. Mickey won't replace us.
Gee, now who can replace them?
But on most of these cameos, Iago was paired up with Jafar, as if the Aladdin sequels had never occurred. Naturally, he is more famous for being a villain's sidekick than an anti-hero, and this flip-flopping was referred to in one episode.
The singing? Ah, that's just a little thing to pay bills between sidekick gigs. Yo ho, a carriage wait for me. We jump and we sing, we beat everything, we talk and squawk and squeal.
He would also provide a smidge of comedy to Jasmine's section in the 2007 direct-to-DVD movie Disney Princess Enchanted Tales Follow Your Dreams. As a heterosexual male, everything about that title makes me want to vomit. It's almost as bad as My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. The parrot also appeared in a few Aladdin video games, aiding the genie in the comic relief sorely needed for Aladdin's math quest, and providing a checkpoint service in one of my favourite yet decidedly tricky to play PC games, Nasira's Revenge. The only time he ever spoke in that game was in that one level where you played as Abu.
Okay, Abu, you need to rescue Aladdin before Nasira digs her nasty claws into him. This place is booby-trapped with all kinds of trouble, so be careful.
Along with the other characters from the Aladdin series, Iago appeared in the anime Disney crossover thing that was a game, Kingdom Hearts. His role is a very abridged version of what occurs in the original Aladdin film, and its sequel, Kingdom Hearts 2, included the plot points of Return of Jafar. Of course you can't actually play as Iago in the game, and what's this? Half of the cutscenes don't have audio. Boo! Next thing you know, they'll start hiring other people besides Gilbert Gottfried to play the character.
How many peasants do we have to go through before we get that stupid swank?
Well, that was inevitable. The two noteworthy stage versions of Aladdin that at least feature Iago amongst the cast are Disney's Aladdin, a musical spectacular, and Aladdin. The first one was performed at Disney's California Adventure from 2003 to 2016, and also the Disney cruise ship, while the second first hit the stage in 2011 and has been performed all over the English-speaking world. They each closely follow the plot of the film, though the Disney-produced one is naturally the more faithful. But while the Broadway show lasts for a standard 2 hours-ish, the Disney site attraction lasts less than an hour, depending how much ad-libbing the genie crams in.
Is the dress white and gold or blue and black? 10 points for Gryffindor!
Thus, roughly 50% of the film gets left out. Iago is played by a giant hand puppet in Disney's production, whereas in the Broadway show they made the sensible choice of just having him be human. Makes sense, and I don't know why they didn't just do the same with Abu, instead of omitting the character. He could have been a mute. Or just really bad at speaking English. or Arabic. Since the show has yet to be recorded, the only way to see just how the new actor playing Iago does justice to the character is for me to spend about £50 and go to see it in London. Well, I'd be tempted to if, all together now, Gilbert Gottfried was in the play.
How do I jerk off? Well, okay, very simple. With a pair of pliers. But you have to do it gently.
Aladdin has definitely been one of Disney's biggest cash cows. Or in this case, camels. So I highly doubt that we've seen the last of the loud, whiny little fireball of fun. And earache.
I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise.
Until next time, viewers, this is Jeffrey Kitch saying, this is Jeffrey Kitch.
Fuck it was 20 years ago.